சொன்னேன்னா ஆரம்பிச்சு
audio.
Audio
Okay then. Okay, done sir, done.
சொன்னேன்னா ஆரம்பிச்சு
Audio.
Yes sir, YouTube lo kuda.
வந்துருதாப்பா
Yes sir.
Audio.
Yeah, good.
Audio. Okay then. Okay. Okay.
அனைவருக்கும் என் அன்பான வணக்கங்கள். Welcome. Today, I like to invite Mr. Balaji, Chartered Accountant, Veda Viddu. He is going to deliver how to present indirect taxation paper, tips for writing the exam, strategy for your preparation for the remaining days. So, welcome Balaji. Auditor
Thank
Balaji.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you sir. Thank you for the opportunity sir.
Over to Balaji. Enjoy your session.
Thank you sir. So a very warm evening to all the people who have been in this particular session. I think an auspicious day to start. And anyways, I think you have already been doing this preparation from quite some time. Just to add upon few points from my end, there have been stalwarts who have already been delivered the
You can say
tips.
something about Vinayar Chathi also, nothing wrong. You are the right person. It was auspicious day.
I think so. Because if it is some days before, I think roughly 1 week to go for them. So let's focus. Maybe some other time we can always have these kind of sessions on the யாராவது அடிச்சிட போறாங்க சார் எக்ஸாம் நேரத்துல வந்துட்டு. So let me just focus on
yes sir இருக்கிறது தான்.
Yes sir.
ரெண்டும் சேமா இருக்கிறது. இந்த சென்ஸ்
Exactly.
அதுக்கு என்ன சொல்றது? இந்த கை நல்லா ஸ்ட்ராங்கா இருக்கு, இந்த கை சொங்கியா இருக்கு.
Yes sir.
May not be good, right?
Yes sir.
Both or what else? What that called? Not synchronous. The name is called what? Symmetric, இல்லையா? அதான்
ஆமா
சொல்லுங்க.
சார். சொல்லலாம் சார்.
Nice, right?
Yes sir. Yes.
இந்த மேட்ச்ல நல்லா இருக்காது. இந்த தாடி வந்து நல்லா இருக்காது.
Correct.
parallel இருந்தா தான் it's look good, right?
Yes. You are sir.
Right, ஏகாம்பரம். But if you see,
yes sir,
Lord Ganapati, for the purpose of writing, okay, for the purpose of education, he has taken his தந்தத்தை உடைச்சு எடுத்துட்டார், right? அப்போ ஒரு தந்தம் இருந்தா போதும். When compared to beauty, knowledge is important. That is what even Lord Ganapati want to convey to everyone, right? Happy Vinayar Chathi. You can start now. Knowledge sharing by our Balaji.
Thank you sir. So my focus already, as told earlier, there have been stalwarts who have already been delivering this particular tips, example preparation strategies and other things. So from my end, whatever possible from my end, maybe some tiny points, probably small points from my end with my experience, I'll just share before you all. So coming to this particular paper, that is indirect tax, that is paper 3B. So this has been a part of this, not a separate paper. This has been linked with another gigantic paper, that is income tax. So with the given time, let me try to straight away jump into the focus or the portions where you need to have a kind of a that is priority chapters out of all the entire syllabus. So we call it as generally ABC analysis, right? The same thing is what I'm trying to present you before. So I'm just sharing my screen. Let me know if it is visible. So I think these are the topics that are available for your chapters available for your 3B paper, that is GST introduction, supply. So I'm just making it roughly what are the average marks that has been asked out of this particular chapter and what is the category. So GST, that is the basics of GST, they are asking 2 marks. Probably this is coming in the last question of this particular section B. and supply under GST. I basically I'm just giving. I don't want to read out this. I'm just giving this particular ABC analysis for you people to just shift your focus according to the ABC. So basically, A is the very most important topic which you cannot forgo. So obviously, you just need to stick on to this or prioritize that particular chapters first. And B is immediately next to that, and C is kind of you can still you can think of leaving that particular chapter, but I will not say that particular statement because when you are a CA student, you are supposed to read through the entire syllabus. So that is a respect we derive in the community. So I request you people to go for, but since because we are just 1 week before the exam, so I just want you people to just focus on this particular way. But I would not advise on a generic terms. So just focus on A categories first. That will definitely help you get definitely roughly around 50 percentage of the weightage, that is 25 marks, and the remaining basically B will help you to get another 15 marks on, and the rest is basically your C topics. So if at all you start with, my focus strategy will be to first focus on the amendments. So that will be pretty sure, yes, I mean pretty important, and especially for people who are writing the September attempt. So there is every chance that you will be bombarded with a lot of amendments question because the May attempt, where there have been scenarios where, of course, this particular paper can be even made to 100 marks, but still they are restricting to 50. So obviously, there can be scenarios where they may not have tested all the amendments in May 2025. So there is one possibility that the leftover amendments which they have not tested, I mean, the amendments which they have missed to test in May 2025 exams, probably they can ask in the September 2025 exams. That is one. And the second thing, of course, you have a separate set of amendments for your September 2025 exams itself. So you are supposed to focus on both the amendments, not to focus only on September 25 amendments. For people who have already studied straight away September for the first time, probably I think your faculty would have taken a complete charge on teaching you the subject along with the amendments. So you need not worry about it. But if at all there are specific scenarios, maybe if at all your faculty have given amendments separately, I want you people to first focus on that. So that is a topmost priority. Don't go to exam without going through the amendments. That is May 25 and September 25 amendments. So that is what I'm referring to. So focus on both the amendments, very important. So because as I told the background, so even your May 25 amendments can also be tested in your September 2025 examination. So have more importance to amendments. Next to that is RTP. Again, please don't go to examination without solving. Again, both May 25 and September 25 RTPs. Again, very important. So these two primarily focus on the updated topics or updated questions along with the amendments. So try to focus on that. And next to that is the easy picking areas are basically your MCQs. So 30%, that is 15 marks, is the easy picking areas if you can just focus on it. So again, so these are the primary three elements which I always recommend. First, solve these three, then probably you can just go on to the subsequent part. So moving on, I've just drawn a basic question paper pattern that has been asked. Maybe your past 4 attempts probably have just taken it out. So basically, as you all know, even for if at all you look at September 25, one question is pretty similar. Is basically a computation question. So that is basically a common question where you can always see the computation question is always common in all the attempts. So computation is basically, that is like how you have a total income question and direct tax. The same thing with regard to GST as well. The computation questions basically is 10 mark, where almost the entire GST will be tested over there. See, in terms of what small provisions from different topics. So this is again very important. Probably what I would advise is that probably you can just go through the comprehensive questions. Maybe I think probably your faculty would have given 5, 10, or 15, 20 questions if at all he has given. So if at all you have gone through that 20 questions, I think that would suffice for this question to tackle. And subsequently, if you see the latest one, so that is the previous attempt is basically the value of supply, input tax credit, and exemption, payment of tax payable. I mean, this particular question is basically a small 2 marks, 3 marks, 1 mark. They just mix it across. It is supply registration, GST inspection, and last is tax invoice. So basically, out of that, if you look across, you can easily draw a conclusion that one question is for sure with regard to what this place of supply, because if you can see, it is a 5 mark question. I see I have mentioned the marks here for each and every question. So basically, your section B consists of 4 questions. Your section B consists of 4 questions, and each question basically have 2 subdivisions. Subdivision 1, subdivision, that is A and B. So basically, if you look at, so the first question is basically a 15 mark, and subsequent questions are basically a 10 mark. So basically, if you start looking at, so this particular place of supply is basically a common question that has been asked for a 5 mark. So that is the reason why I think I would have given so place of supply as a category. So for sure, then you can probably ask me a question why you have mentioned 8 marks. So basically, I'm just averaging out. See, this particular computation here or there, there'll be 2 marks, 1 mark that has been added across. So that is the reason why I've taken the extra 3 marks for place of supply. So basically, that is a rough average, basically. So there's no a proven number there. So rough average number is what I've given above. So with regard to place of supply, if you look across, it is 5 marks. And if at all you look at input tax credit, again, it is again a 5 mark area or even an 8 mark area for sure. So the focus on input tax credit. Next, if you look at time of supply is again one important area where they always test for 5 marks. And the next part is value of supply 5 marks. And exemptions is a standalone question. Again, they ask for 5 marks. So if at all you look at, if you sum up this, probably you are basically crossing 20-25 marks for sure. So that is one important thing which you always have to keep in mind. That is one. And coming to, I mean, I think basically, if you look at this, you can probably draw a decode question paper even for September 25 as well. I don't want to give this and give you directions. Basically, out of this, you yourself can roughly understand what will be the next question. I mean, subdivision 2 for question number 1, and so on for the remaining questions as well. So I don't want to get into that or give a false. I mean, don't get directed by what I give here. That is the reason why I have not given. See, probably I can just give some topics here according to my predictions. So I don't want to play in students' life where the last minute I don't want to give you any sort of predictions here. So just wanted to give you an idea about this. Other than that, I just wanted to give you some important understanding or tips that you should always keep in your mind when it comes to attempting the question. So that if at all you look at, so always know with regard to MCQ, I would like to start with MCQ. Always ICA will give you some wrong answers on that. Okay, some deceiving answers, I would rather say on that. So deceive you with wrong options. So please don't get carried away by, I mean, if at all you work out wrongly also, such options will be there as an answer in your MCQ. So don't get carried away by that. So read the question twice, especially any question for that matter. Some people will be having an, they have a confidence that this question they have already studied in the study material or this MCQ booklet, where they are pretty confident that the same question has been repeated. See, even if the same question has been repeated, if of course I want that same to happen, and I want you people to score in those questions. But the pathetic scenario is that some people just carried away with the same thought without even reading the question properly. There'll be small slight change that ICA would have made in your question paper. So I don't want you people to just simply go by what you have studied with the basic or initial part of the question and come to a conclusion for giving a answer. So I don't want you to do that first. So MCQ is a scoring area where just by you need not have any justification that needs to be given. You need not show any steps for that particular answer. So you don't need, so nothing is required from your end except for shading a proper option. So have more, and it is a pretty straightforward. They cannot reduce any marks here. So MCQ plays a vital role. So I don't want you people to lose marks in MCQ. So a person who scores almost 80% of MCQ will definitely come into a exemption scenario. So focus on that. So don't get deceived by a wrong option and shade that. So that is the first point which I wanted to give you. And second thing is that try to understand the exam question, the question requirements. See, this is very, very important. So rather than just simply writing whatever you know in that particular topic, if you can just see, that is again a waste of time basically. If at all you simply go on to scribble or whatever if at all you want to keep showing that, that will not serve the purpose basically when it comes to an exam. So the examiner will be looking for what is required, what has been asked in the question. So you are supposed to deliver what has been asked. So if at all you keep on writing something, always try to look at the suggested answer. I always see people after getting the answer booklets, they say you have done something what is not even asked for on that. So that is again a waste of time, where you could have some people will always say I couldn't complete the exam paper because of time. So see, basically rather than writing something which has not been asked in the exam, okay, that is the reason why you are supposed to read the question once, twice, or even twice. So basically, if you can understand the requirements, you will not waste time rather than studying something. And understanding something and delivering something. So my sincere request to you people all is that try to understand the question and the requirements, and start writing the answer. So that is the second point which I wanted to tell you. And third thing is that maybe we are standing just 1 week before the exam. So but still I want to emphasize on this particular point for people who has something to cover with regard to this particular paper, or any paper for that matter. See, there is no shortcuts for developing the speed for writing the answer on that. Okay, so it is only by way of what practice you can gain that particular speed. So there's no shortcuts to that. So always don't be a evaluator of ICA books. So keep practicing in your notebook. Only then you will get a speed for writing your answers. So always practice. So pick up the speed. Only then you can manage. So next comes basically what time management. So obviously you are given 3 hours, so that is 180 minutes for 100 marks. So it is 1.8 minutes basically. So you are supposed to complete a computation question within 18 minutes. Basically, I don't keep this as a standard. I would say you try to fix a standard of solving this particular question within a period of 15 minutes. So what happens is 3 minutes, sir. Some questions probably might drag more time, but basically don't fall prey to that particular questions. Basically, even though you know that particular question confidently, I don't want you people to just simply keep continuing this particular question. So I would say after 15 minutes, put a dot, leave some ample space, because I don't see most of the people are not even completing the answer booklets that has been given by the ICA. So that is anyway a waste. So leave some ample spaces and move to the next question and start answering the next question. So as you always say, being a first student, it is always better to diversify yourself rather than focusing on one particular security. This is basically a concept where he would have taught you with regard to the risk. So rather than focusing too much on this particular one particular question, you can diversify, where move on to the next question where that can fetch you more marks than this particular question. So always have this in mind. Keep a track of time, because you are supposed to act. You must have, maybe probably you can just extend by 1 more minute. Then you should put a hard stop to this particular question, move on to the next question. So probably after completing, after uh, seeing through your complete answer, then probably if at all there is leftover time, you can go ahead to continue and complete the uh, pending questions. So time management plays a vital role here. So that is one thing which I wanted to tell you. And always start a new question in the new page. So often people tend to write answer subdivision, if at all there is one small subdivision to subdivision, if at all there is a question. So they'll try to put answer it in the remaining half of the page. So sometimes, of course, the evaluators are also human. So proper steps, everything, due care has been taken by the institute to ensure that there is no misevaluation, or there is no totaling error, all these things. So better you can avoid it from your end. So rather you can start off every particular question in new page, such that it becomes an easy task for the examiner to immediately see through this particular question in the new page. And always see, when I say this, please mention the question number in the top of the page. Again, whatever answer you are going to write for the question, you please mention the question number at the top of the page. So that is very, very important. So that is one thing. And when it comes to the next part, handwriting. So please try to ensure that you write your answers legibly. Okay, so don't try to play with the examiner. Okay, so even if your handwriting is shabby or not so great, at least see, this is something which you have read at the school level, where you try to keep one finger space. So at least that will give an impression that it is legible. So try to give some gaps between two words, so that it becomes legible for the examiner to read your answer. Okay, so of course, this handwriting improvement, all these things, it is a long process. It cannot be turned on one single day. So try to even if you feel that your handwriting is not so great, at least try to leave one finger space and then move on to the next word. So that is very, very important. Whatever you know, whatever wisdom you have in your mind, so the examiner may not be knowing that. So it is only a communication. The medium of exchange of what you know is being communicated through your answer paper. So try to play smart in that. So that is with regard to the handwriting, that is very important. So I would say you can also underline some important points in your answers. So that will basically catch the examiner eye that you have written a proper answer. So that will basically help the examiner to understand, immediately locate that you have given some key points or required points for this particular question in your answer. So therefore, that will help you are making the examiner's job very easy. So don't keep on putting underline. After each and every question, don't put this underline and all. That is not required. I'm just trying to help this particular task of the examiner to look easy. So always, because whatever you have studied for, now it is basically usually I used to say it is 6 months. Now it is basically 3 months or 4 months. Okay, so the fate has been decided by the examiner's 15 minutes basically, which he takes uh, to evaluate each paper. So therefore, try to make his job very easy. Please, the examiner. So this is one point which I wanted to communicate. And when it comes to an answer writing, okay, so when it is a case scenario question, okay, so always try to start with what is the issue involved. So for that, you should have understood the question correctly. So what is that they're asking? What is the issue that is being addressed in this particular question? Then go ahead to mention the section number and provisions. So, sir, if at all I don't remember, I don't know the section number, fair enough, no problem. If at all you know the section number, please do quote and be very clear about quoting the section number, because you are dealing with what CGST and IGST. So, be clear about what quoting the section number along with the respective act. So, if at all it is going to be a CGST act, write section 7, section 8 of CGST act, section 9, or if at all you are so well versed with reading along with rules and other things, probably you can just quote the rules as well. So, nevertheless, you are trying to give an impression that you know the subject very well. Okay, so that is with regard to the section number and giving the provisions and explaining them and conclusion. So this is the way in which you are supposed to write a case scenario based question. So obviously this applies to any case scenario based questions in any subject. So obviously this is something which you have already studied in your schooling period, where in an English language paper you would have studied something called as ERC, explain reference to context, almost a similar pattern as what we are still following in a professional curriculum as well. So that is with regard to the way in which you are supposed to present an answer in a question. I mean, answer to a case scenario based question. So basically, and one thing which I wanted to highlight this again, I feel this is very important. So generally, students do write, or basically students know the subject. So, but basically they commit some silly errors. Okay, so basically you are supposed to get used to writing examination in a pressured situation. So that will make you better. But nevertheless, try to have these particular points, maybe some few points which I wanted to highlight, so that you don't make this particular mistake in an exam hall. So not exam hall, in this particular subject, I would rather say. So what is that? Is that generally when it comes to see you can always see that there can never be a question paper without a topic called as RCM, which you would have already studied 9 subsection 3, correct, of CGST Act, or 5 subsection 3 of IGST Act. So where you can always see that when it comes to this, a payment of RCM tax, it has to be paid only by way of anybody. It has to
Recipient, sir.
be. It has to be paid only by. Sorry.
Recipient.
Obviously, RCM has to be paid by recipient. So, but the tax has to be paid only by way of cash. So you cannot offset this particular tax liability with the ITC. So you always know that whatever RCM you are going to pay, that can be availed as an input as well. So people tend to what? Always they try to net it off against this particular set off against input tax credit. So if at all there have been excess input tax credit against the output tax, probably they'll come to a wrong conclusion that they need not pay any tax. So basically try to understand that RCM liability has to be paid only by way of cash. So it cannot be offset against ITC. So I see many people make this, but many students make this kind of mistake where they unnecessarily lose some 1 or 2 marks because of this. And probably, see, I need not talk about the importance of 1 or 2 marks. So probably I myself is a victim where I have failed in an examination because of 1 mark aggregate. So I have scored 199. So I have lost this particular group because of 1 mark. So Importance of 1 mark. I see. I think probably I myself can. I think I feel I can talk on this particular topic. So, but I don't want anybody to undergo that kind of a trauma or a situation of losing an examination by 1 mark. So each and every mark plays a vital role. So this is very, very important. So don't lose some precious marks for things which you already know. So see, if at all you have not studied, that is altogether different subject. So what you already know, losing marks in that area is something which cannot be taken into. So this is one area which I wanted to highlight. The next point is basically, uh, see, when it comes to registration, students always know they calculate properly, they will calculate aggregate turnover. See, but what happens, no? There can be scenarios where they will try to link this particular scenarios with section 24. What is section 24? Compulsory registration. So people would have taken their efforts to calculate all this aggregate turnover, but for the section 24 case, so obviously what is not required, aggregate turnover is not at all relevant. What is only relevant, irrespective of the aggregate turnover, if at all they fall under section 24, they are supposed to take the registration. So I just want to link this particular RCM scenario. So here the recipient of RCM service, RCM supply is covered under 24. So if you look at, you are not supposed to do all this aggregate turnover calculation and come to a conclusion that they are not falling under aggregate turnover limit of the threshold, basically 20 lakhs or 40 lakhs or as the case may be. So or even 10 lakhs for the notified states. So that way they are not supposed to take they are not required to take a registration system. So therefore, what I would advise is that always try to understand the question holistically, then try to start answering. So here, this aggregate turnover explanation is not all required if at all they are covered under section 24. So that is one thing which I wanted to highlight here. And what are the other things? See, this is again a topic where they have been continuously testing this particular topic, where this e bill is linked with ITC, where so what in case e-invoice, probably I'll come up with in e bill little later, e-invoice with ITC. So basically there have been few questions where I have seen where the supplier have generated invoice without e-invoice, without IRN. What is IRN? Invoice reference number. So basically, if at all a recipient is getting such invoice without IRN, the recipient is not entitled for ITC. As per section 16. Therefore, generally people will not even think about this. But all it is going to be invoice, they simply take that into consideration and they take this particular case for ITC and they simply go on to add this for ITC and they offset it against output as well. So if at all you look at this particular scenario, ITC is not at all allowed. So have some caution in this particular kind of a scenario. And when it comes to e-way bill again, which I want to discuss. See, in case, obviously, where there are defaulters, or if at all you read section 29, where you can see, if at all you see section 29, where they always talk about what the reasons for cancellation or instances where registration can be cancelled. So in that, if at all you see, always there have been some instances where they talk about defaulters where they have failed to furnish their returns, a regular taxpayer and a composition taxpayer. So if at all you look at, so if at all he is a defaulter, if a taxpayer is a defaulter, he cannot generate e-way bill, correct? See, this is a common understanding. Defaulter cannot generate e-way bill is a common understanding. E-way bill cannot be generated for outward supply. But there is no restrictions on generating e-way bill for inward supply. So very important. So if at all there is a theory question that is going to come up, so you can always have this in mind. So generally you cannot simply write that they cannot generate e-way bill. Exception is that they can still generate, even though he is a defaulter, he can still generate e-way bill for what? Inward supplies. So that is very, very important. So, and in case of, if you look at the value of supply, the see, one particular scenario is this particular exemption where art related services, where you know the service that is being provided by an artist in the form of what, dance, music, and other things, where the consideration has not exceeded rupees 1,50,000. So if it exceeds, see, let's say it is 2 lakhs, people, students, they will apply exemption of rupees 1,50,000, balance rupees 50, which is taxable. So this is completely wrong. So the entire consideration so see, certain points you should not get confused with regard to what is exempt, what is taxable. So here the entire consideration is taxable. So some key points which I wanted to highlight here. So likewise, wherever you make a mistake, kindly note down when you are making mistake, and try to see. Another important point which I wanted to talk here is that, so just add on here. So whenever you are making mistake, try to make a note of it in a separate page. So at least day before the exam, you at least go through the mistakes what you have made. Say at least for the other remaining questions. So I think it came in a flow where let's assume that you will not be making mistake on this particular other questions where the answers have come in a flow. But basically, if you look at these particular questions, emphasis has to be given. So kindly go through these questions at least before the exam. Obviously, the 1.5 days time, you may not have the entire, bandwidth to go through the entire syllabus, especially when you have another paper such as DT in this DT along with this IDT. So therefore, I would say we need to do a smart work where, if at all whatever mistakes you have made during your preparations, kindly make a note in this particular separate page. At least try to ensure that you go through this particular problems, so that you don't make any mistakes on this particular problem in the examination. So this is one thing which basically I wanted to talk about. Maybe if at all you have any specific questions, I think I can keep on adding. So I think the time that has been given to me is 40 minutes or something. I think I've crossed that. So if you have any kind of a question or something, probably I'll just answer to that question. So I don't want to waste your time, precious time before the exam, and that too 7 days before the exam, 8 days before the exam. So if you have any specific questions, probably I'll try to answer to that. Or otherwise,
Okay, any doubt kanna? Ekamparam. Nobody's having the doubt.
No, sir.
No, sir. It's very useful, sir, because the trick which he has said is been very useful for us at the last time, sir.
Thank you. Online YouTube students, you can also text me if you have any doubt.
so basically, if at all, I mean, I should not presume that if at all you don't have any doubts, probably whether you have understood and you have not, you are not having any doubts, or you didn't understand anything, but you are not raising any doubts.
Praveen, Vignesh, online students, do you have any doubt? The YouTube students.
Sir, we understood, sir. We have no doubts.
See, one thing I would just add on. See, last thing, maybe last but not the least. So try to believe in what you have studied. So especially in this particular scenario, that is 8 days before the exam. So people will always come to you stating, they'll come to you stating that whether you have studied this, that. So never respond to those kind of a statement. Believe in what you have studied, okay, and have trust or faith over the God, okay, and whatever you have done so far, the past 3-4 months, God is watching that, and he'll be giving you a basically, see, you cannot fool God. So you can fool others, okay, but you cannot fool God. So obviously he knows what to give based on your efforts. So have trust, so have confidence, so never be worried about what others say. Don't get carried out. And one important thing is that don't discuss any answers immediately after your exam. That is very, very important. I have seen people who have studied well because of not attempting one particular. See, obviously, it is a common. It is not a myth. It is a common practice that ICA will definitely screw one particular paper in a group. So obviously, people tend to immediately discuss that with another set of friends, where they get deteriorated. Their confidence level, even though they have studied that particular subject very well, their confidence level completely deteriorates, where they didn't even study for the confident paper, where they are actually planning for 70-80 marks in that particular paper, which will tremendously boost the aggregate. So I would sincerely say that don't discuss with anyone after examination until you complete the entire group or the entire examination, I would rather say. So try to maintain that particular privacy. You can always reach out to faculties for any doubts. They would be very glad to help you out. So I think just wanted to add that particular point which I missed in the presentation.
Thank
Dear
you,
students,
sir.
tomorrow evening 9:30 to 10 o'clock or 10:30 from 10:30 onwards, we are having exam preparation tips for strategic management, SM paper. Okay, tomorrow also we can meet in live as well as. Hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you very much, Mr. Balaji, for your valuable contribution.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Glad to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you all.
Nishya, thank you.
I can also leave, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Sir, okay வாங்குதா சார்?
Super, super.
சும்மா சொல்லாதீங்க சார், நீங்க உங்களோட ஹானஸ்ட் ஃபீட்பேக் சொல்லுங்க சார்.
Really super, really super.
இல்ல சார், ஏன்னா நான் rather than focusing
also what நல்லா இருக்குன்னு போட்டிருக்காங்க.
அப்படியா? சரி சார், சரி. ஏதாவது பசங்க ஏதாவது சொன்னாங்கன்னா constructive feedback, I'll be glad to listen, sir.
Thank you.